Hello. Um, I've made a lot of videos on this channel before. Um, but this video feels like I really have to introduce myself. Um, my name's Oscar. I currently 21. Since I was 9 years old, I've made YouTube videos. It's about the one hobby that I've actually really enjoyed my entire life, which is kind of shocking um, because I just kind of don't really have all that much that I have always kind of gravitated to. There's been stuff that I've liked on and off, but other than making YouTube videos, there's never been much that I liked for the whole time, you know what I mean? Something like something like just turning on OBS, recording a game and talking over it, learning how to use a camera. Um all that jazz is it's a big part of uh me. It's kind of the only real thing I've had, like I said before. It's the only thing I've really had my entire life. Only thing I've ever been able to call my own. I like video games. I play video games, but never really thought that that was my own thing because I don't like video games as much as other people. Like my brother is really the person who I like showed me video games, and I don't know, there's just other stuff like that that I know that I don't like it as much as other people, and so it kind of doesn't really feel like my own thing. But in terms of making videos online on YouTube, it does feel like the one thing that has always been mine. But recently, I've kind of gone through a big traumatic event. Um, and even still, there's a bit of my prideful side that doesn't want to consider it traumatic. There's, I guess what do you call it? The man in me that wants to think that this doesn't affect me. Um, but this thing that happened to me really did change my relationship with things in my life, relationship with people too. Um, that's weird. Oh, right. You can have fallen logs. That one just fell over this one. I don't think I've seen that before in Minecraft. That's pretty cool. This traumatic thing that happened to me made me kind of shut other people out of my life. Made me want to be a bit more reclusive. And I've always been introverted. Like, I won't pretend like I've always reached out to other people and always kind of been proactive about that, because the truth is I haven't been. But I think there was always a pressure. Being an introverted person, there was always a pressure from extroverted people that I should at least try to be extroverted, or at least try to act extroverted, so that I can live I don't know if saying living a normal life is the right words, but like, so people don't find me weird, because it is kind of, out of the normal to be an introvert. Um, and it's also kind of a weird thing to be an introvert, but to like making YouTube videos. Um, and me personally, I've never really had a problem doing both at the same time. I've never had a problem like going to school, not talking to a single other being there, and then coming home and, you know, making a YouTube video, pretending like I was talking to a whole bunch of people. Um, don't judge the way I'm making these tools. But this traumatic thing that happened to me in my life made me stop making YouTube videos. It made me, like I said, I pushed people away, and I sort of recluded. I don't even know if that's the right word, but I sort of fell back into the comfort of just like not talking to a single person. That was comfortable for me. But in that sort of comfort, I started running away from everything in my life. I even kind of ran away from YouTube. I ran away from this one hobby of mine that I've always considered myself pretty okay, pretty decent at. Again, there's like this ego part of me that doesn't want to say I was ever good at it, but it's about as good as you can get at something, without it becoming your job, I guess. Because if it was my job, I would obviously be doing YouTube like, every day. I'd set up my hours so that it was like a full-time job, like 40 hours a week kind of thing. But the fact that it isn't my job, the fact that it's like only time I ever made YouTube videos was when I wanted to, sort of means that there's kind of an upper bound for how good you can get at something like that. Because I can't sink all my hours into doing this. I got college. Like, I'm studying computer engineering. This is like, as much as I would love to make YouTube videos all the time, like I have homework to do. So it's really not much of an option to do that constantly. Constantly. My mic kind of cuts out. Let me see if I can fix that. Hold on. There, I think that might be better from now on. But you might hear the fans in my laptop going crazy. So bear with me for that. Where was I? Right. I don't consider myself fantastic at making YouTube videos, but I do consider myself proficient. Um, and I kind of only ever really made YouTube videos when I was in the mood to make a YouTube video. Oh, right, you can't do that. Is there coal? Didn't I kind of stop here because there was coal? Or, yeah, there's coal. But yeah, this traumatic event sort of took this love I had for YouTube, which was, you know, more than a decade long, and it kind of turned it into like. Let me just say this about the traumatic event, because I don't really plan on sharing it, but I'll say that it made me have an awful relationship with the idea of failure. Beforehand, I kind of never really considered my ability to fail. Not that I thought failure was impossible, but I guess I never considered it. I never really thought that failure would happen to someone like me. Because for my entire life, I kind of never really actually failed. Um, but this traumatic event made me start to realize that failure was a possibility, and it was actually more likely than not going to happen. And over the past couple months, that's put my mind in kind of a paralysis. I'm kind of afraid to make a move because I know that the most likely end result is that I'm going to fail. And I mean, maybe I don't know that, but it definitely feels like that, you know? And so I say all this to say that YouTube videos are the only thing that I never really saw as a failure. Because YouTube's not a job of mine or anything. Hold on, I gotta lock in. YouTube's never been a job. So I never really had failure as a thing that was possible, because quite literally, I just didn't even know what it would mean to fail. But in light of current events, failure has become something I'm really trying super duper hard to avoid about as much as possible. And I'm rambling, but this is all to say that I stopped making YouTube videos because for the first time in my life, I really thought that I was gonna fail. The expectations for myself, I always kind of thought that I was getting better at YouTube. I mean, clearly, when you start at 9 years old and now I'm 21, like, I'm fairly certain the videos I'm making that I would make nowadays would be better than the ones I made when I was 9. But, you know, there is that charm of the fact that I was 9 years old in those videos, and it's kind of nice to, like, look back and see that, oh yeah, I was a kid at one point, and this is how I was when I was a kid. But yeah, I was really proud of the fact that I was consistently getting better and better at what I was doing. But with that, like, pride in my skills, it eventually got to the point where if I didn't spend like hours and hours on each video, I would kind of consider that like a failure. Because at some point, I really just wanted every video to be better than the last, because I conditioned myself to sort of make that the default. I was proud of the fact that I was making every video better than the last, and if I didn't do that, I guess I would stop being proud, which I guess means I'd fail. It's an interesting thing that I kind of locked myself into. But yeah. I'm gonna turn down those hostile mobs. They're a bit loud. They're probably still gonna be a bit loud, but maybe a little bit more bearable. I don't know. So I'm making this video to kind of break the pattern. Because the last video I made is something I'm really proud of, just sort of thematically and how it ended up coming out. It kind of ended up being aesthetically pleasing, which you can work hard on something, but that doesn't necessarily make it good. But I personally like to believe that the last video I made on this channel was, which is called Snake Eyes. I personally like to believe that it was both something I worked really hard on and something I think is actually good. And that doesn't happen all the time. And because I was able to accomplish something that I'd always been, I guess, hunting for, which is both a good video and something I worked hard on. Because I was able to make that, it was kind of like, where do I go from here? And especially since the traumatic event, kind of felt like no matter what I did, I was going to be taking a step down. And so I'm making this video just to kind of tell myself that it's okay. It's okay to not become better. It's sort of this thing I've put this pressure on myself to do all the time, is become a better version of myself with every action I take. And I'm not saying that I'm done getting better, like I've become the best that I possibly could be, but at this point I'm reaching the state of I've become about as good as I need to be. Not as much as I could be, but as good as I need to be. And now I need to achieve balance. Which balance, I don't even know what that is. I never really experienced that before. I'm a very all or nothing type of person. I had my first therapy session 3 days ago. And just kind of talking to them, I was talking to her, my therapist. Everything I was talking about, I just ended up realizing, like, wow, I have a very all or nothing mentality on life. And she was like, yeah, I'm noticing that too. And it kind of shocked me, because I don't know why it shocked me, because obviously hindsight is 2020. Like, it feels extremely obvious that someone like me would have an all or nothing mentality, especially when I consider everything that I do to be a success and a failure. Or not, sorry, not and, but either a success or failure. There's a lot of dualism in my thinking. A lot of all or nothing ideas. Oh, yeah. Only a Sith deals in absolute. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. So I guess I'm a Sith. T. How deep is that? Oh my gosh. I didn't make a shield. Okay, I have iron armor. But one thing I did notice recently is, regardless of my relationship with success and failure, I've been playing some comfort video games recently, which for me includes Minecraft and the Batman Arkham games. The Batman Arkham games I've been playing since they came out. Like about 2010 is when I first played the Batman Arkham Asylum, and I was 5 years old at the time. But I've never been bad at those games either. In the same way that I like to consider myself, or in the same way that I like to consider the fact that or rather, my old mindset that was like I could never fail at making a YouTube video. For me, there was really no way that I could fail at playing those games. Wow. Because I've just been playing them my entire life, and I know the answer to every puzzle. I've played all of them. I have a bunch of 100% saves that I have to like delete 100% save every time I want to play the game. um, and so, um, like YouTube videos, I've had that mentality of like I can't fail. I don't even know what failure would look like. Because there's never going to be a point where I'm playing one of those games and I feel like I've been bested by it. Because I know the way to beat everything. Even if I die in the games, it doesn't mean I'm bested. It means I just kind of have to retry. And so I was playing specifically not the most recent game, but the second most recent Arkham game, Batman Arkham Knight. I was playing that today, and I had that realization where it's like if I die, I just kind of respawn. I just try again. And after the traumatic event that I went through, I feel like I need that mentality more than ever, because I've put myself in a state of paralysis. Like I can't talk to someone unless I know that the end result will make me better, which is such an awful mentality to have. I miss compassion, you know? That's a lot of skeletons. That is a lot of skeletons. I'm gonna make a shield now, because that's a lot of skeletons. I miss being compassionate. Are we dead ass? Okay. I miss just going into a conversation. Just to go into a conversation. Like with my sister. I used to be able to get on the phone with my sister, and we would just talk about our life. She would talk more than me. And, yeah, that's just the way it was, right? My sister's older than me. She lives a little bit more of an interesting life than me. She would talk a little more than me. But there was never a sort of a way to win or lose at a phone call with my sister, you know? But now, that's like, even if I don't explicitly believe that I'm winning or losing, I know that after a phone call, I'm either going to feel good or I'm going to feel completely, like, awful about it. If I didn't win or lose the phone call. So this whole traumatic event has given me a very dualistic approach to life. I don't like that. I'm not a huge fan of that right now. So like I said before, I'm making this video just kind of reset the pace. To kind of tell myself like I don't need this right now. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to win. I don't need to turn everything I do into, a competition. Because even though I am turning into a competition, like the competition's with myself. There's no one else competing other than me, and there's no one else keeping score except for me. So, how useless is the game I'm playing if no one else is participating? If I'm the only person who's putting my emotions on the line, like what's the point of the game? And so I recently watched a video by I actually don't know who made it, but the idea was a very simple idea. It was kind of like an ASMR kind of video where it was literally just like the title was like "Let me be the video" or "Your video for the night" or something like that. And it was just this person playing Minecraft, rambling, talking about the games that they're playing. All, just very normal video. But there was something so nice about it. There was no stakes. There was no what do you call it? Like there was nothing on the line. This person just turned on OBS, started recording themselves playing a game, and by the end, you know what they accomplished? It wasn't a win or a fail. They didn't even really do that much in the game. They just kind of ran around. Um, they didn't accomplish anything, and that was okay. It was completely fine that they did not accomplish anything. And I'm realizing now, I probably could have smelted this iron way quicker if I just just used these friggin' furnaces. Um, but it's not about winning or losing. It's just kind of about being. You know, if we're speaking in like a Buddhist way, it's just this. This is the only thing to pay attention to. There is nothing else. There is just this. And I think that's beautiful. It's something I'm really wish I was better at. I really wish I was better at just experiencing just this. But unfortunately, I'm really bad at that, and I've gotten really bad at it recently. Um, and especially my thing with therapy. Recently, I went to my first ever therapy visit, and I have no clue how helpful therapy will be for me. Therapy doesn't feel. I mean, I basically had to be forced to go to therapy because I really just despise the idea that like I was gonna delegate someone to think for me. Because that's how it felt. It was like I don't know the answers right now, and I can't figure them out. So go to therapy, and someone will kind of help you figure out the answers. Um, and I never really thought that the therapist would give me the answers or anything, but it felt like I lost. It felt like, I mean, going back to the whole idea of like success and failure, it felt like I failed in attempting to get through what happened to me. Like by myself, just by thinking about it and, you know, finding the truth. I realized I thought that the truth was all that I cared about. I used to think that the truth would genuinely be like all that mattered. I found out the hard way that even though I know the truth, I can still fail. You know, uh, certain tasks that I'm trying to do, I end up failing because I just, even though I know the truth, I know what to do to an extent. I doesn't mean I can do it. And I sort of, what I've been really struggling with recently is I don't know how to get myself to do it. Wow, he really found his way around that water, huh? Um, that's been the main struggle. It's not finding the truth anymore. Been there, done that. I guess I accomplished that. Um, and I can continue to accomplish that. I noticed in therapy when I was just talking about my stuff, talking about myself to the therapist, I I came to my own conclusions. I didn't need the therapist to be like, "Oh, when you talk about this, you're showing signs of XYZ." Like I was able to really, like I said before, in that when I came to the conclusion of like my all or nothing personality, me and the therapist came to the conclusion at the exact same time. Like in the exact same moment. Like I think she was about to maybe not interrupt me, but she was basically about to interrupt me and say like, "Yeah, you seem very all or nothing." But I basically beat her to the punch. I said it right before her, and she was like, "Yeah, I was just about to say that." Um, so it's interesting. I really don't struggle when it comes to finding the truth. I guess what I'll call it is like linear problem solving. Like in math, when you have a solve for x kind of thing. Like I'm really good at solving for x. Like I can do that without much problem at all. And I guess that's not what I need the therapist for. But but my problem, like once I left therapy, was realizing, oh, I'm really good at solving for x. I'm really good at finding the truth on my own. What I'm really bad at is, I think, believing the truth. Like, I know that getting on the phone with my sister shouldn't be a matter of success and failure. I know that. I could tell you 1,000 different reasons why. I had my shield up. um, I could tell you 1,000 different reasons why that's so, but I just don't believe it. And that's kind of the problem I have right now is I really have a hard time believing truth. I wish I was better at it. And I guess that's why I'm in therapy. Keep in mind, like I said, I've only been to therapy once, and so I mean, I think in my mind I've already prescribed myself to the idea. I've already prescribed my therapy experience as being a failure because I didn't immediately become better. Um, that's the way I feel about it. I know that's not true. Just like how I know that like calling my sister has no real obligation, meaning like I don't have to do anything when I'm calling my sister. I can just talk to her and it's fine. And same way that well, actually, in this case, I believe it. When I'm playing Minecraft or playing Batman, I truly believe I don't have to win the game to feel good about myself, to have had a fun time playing the game. I just need to play it. Oops. I just need to play the game, and that's all. That's okay. It's okay to just play the game. I think I'm done getting iron. I don't really want to fill my inventory with more iron. Um, that's kind of bright. I don't want to. Yeah, if I believe that about video games, I don't know why I can't believe it about real life. Oh my gosh, really? Trial chamber. Let me set my bed before I die. Oh, my mouse glitched. Oh my gosh. This is gonna be very loud. I'll probably turn down the volume. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I can't do anything right now. Where the heck is the entrance? Oh my goodness. Okay, this is where I need to go. Okay, respawn. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. This is not the vibe I was going for this video. Oh! Oh! Oh my, I'm actually dead, aren't I? Let's see how this goes. They're probably gonna be putting on my armor a lot. Okay. Just like that, in Minecraft I just died, right? Trying to bring it back. In Minecraft I just died. But that's okay. Because I just respawn. I'm gonna try and get my stuff and leave though, because this is not the vibe I was going for. Oh my gosh, none of your friends climbed up. But look at this, I found what works for me in Minecraft. Just because this is a difficult place to exist in, to thrive in, doesn't mean I can't eventually succeed. I just have to adapt, right? And it's okay to fail on your first try. Because now I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm arriving at the conclusion that this is difficult, but I can do it. There was no part in my mind that actually believed that I could not get past this scenario. It's just I had to give myself some grace. I let myself die. I mean, I didn't want to die, but I let myself die because I know that I have the ability to try again. And that should be more, honestly, it really feels like it should be more obvious in real life that I can fail and try again. Because in real life, you don't really die, there's not much life or death scenarios in real life. Most of what you do in real life doesn't become a life or death situation. But for some reason in video games, death is so easy. Death just is so recoverable. It's an interesting idea. That I somehow have all the grace in the world. Also, I don't have that many blocks. I guess I do. I have a lot of wood, but I don't really want to use it. Hopefully I think I'm gonna cut around this, because this is not the vibe I was going for. Oh, wow. I will admit, it's kind of hard to stay composed. Yeah, I think a lot of my sort of ties, my relationship with success and failure also comes from high expectations. Which I touched on this a little bit before. I've never really considered failure, but when failure became a possibility, when failure actually became something that I felt was possible, and not only possible, but actually likely to happen, it scared me. It put me into a bit of a paralysis where I was just frozen, unable to make a move because I felt like every move would result in failure just because it was possible. In my mind, I was able to believe that it was not just possible but inevitable, and not just inevitable but like what'd you call it? Just that it felt like it was the most likely thing to happen. And since the traumatic thing that happened to me, I felt like a lot of what I've done is failure recently. A lot of the cause of the hardship has come from the fact that I have failed in attempting to do a lot of different things at the same time. But it's hard to do a lot of things at the same time. It is. But part of my high expectations was that I kind of thought that I was able to do all these things at the same time. Why is it so dark over there? There's like lights everywhere except in this one corner. One thing that I did, one thing that I noticed that was actually really nice after I left therapy was, keep in mind, the first time you go to therapy, or at least this is what my therapist told me, the first time you go to therapy, it's a very much like the therapist kind of has to really learn you. They have to, you have to tell them a lot about yourself, because otherwise, you know, I mean, how else are they really going to help you? So I really felt like I gave the biggest TED talk of my entire life, except the TED talk was about my life. And I sort of went through everything I've had been thinking about over the past few months. You know, not in the most amount of detail that I would have liked, but I did go through a lot about myself. And the therapist asked me a lot of questions. And for the first time, it actually felt like I was being listened to. Maybe not the first time, but the first time in a long time. Because like I said, I sort of threw out a lot of relationships in my life. I kind of stopped talking to people. Stopped talking to people that maybe otherwise would have listened to me. And the relationships that I did kind of continue with were surface level types of friendships where well, you know, it's just like it's like a bro friendship. I don't know if that makes sense, but like you're friends and you guys talk about fun stuff. You don't really do much more than that, you know? That was like sort of the most I could handle over the past couple months was just talking at a very shallow level with people. People I liked, people I could have fun with, sure, but couldn't really do much more than that with them. So for the first time in a long time, for the first time definitely in the past like 6 months at least, I was speaking and it actually felt like I was sort of there was a weight lifted off of me. Because I mean, you know, I'm paying this person to listen to me and I mean not fix my problems, but like fix my problems low key, you know? And so Um, after 1 hour of me just unloading all this information about myself, I left and my mind was really, really quiet. And that's not a feeling I've been used to. Because in isolation, it's actually, for me, I think, it's really difficult for my mind to want to shut up. Because if the only type of communication I can experience is with myself, and I'm always around myself, then my communication never stops. My mind never quiets. I've had nights where it genuinely does take like 2 or 3 hours to fall asleep. Just because I'm talking to myself. Not like out loud or anything, but my mind just keeps racing, keeps wanting to think. But for the first time in a while with this therapist, like I was actually talking out loud, and I felt like I was being listened to, and it felt like because she was just as I was talking, she was writing everything down in her laptop. It genuinely felt like I was talking and someone else was just taking all my pain and putting it away for later. You know what I mean? Like this pain is, yeah, it did happen to me, and it is something I'm gonna have to deal with eventually. But for right now, in this moment, like, it's fine. I don't have to deal with it right now. That's the way it felt. Leaving therapy, I walked out and I walked over to my car, and for the first time it really did feel like my mind was quiet because I had given all these thoughts that I had spent months and months refining, thinking about, and when I say refining, like I was genuinely trying to perfect my thoughts. This is something I obsessed over for months and months, was the perfection of my thoughts. And what that means to me is like thinking the right things, coming to factual conclusions, which I guess I got good at. I don't know. I think I got good at that. I'd like to say I did. Um, the therapist kind of took those ideas that I guess I was trying to remember them. I was trying to remember the facts, the conclusions that I was coming to. Because if I didn't remember them, who was? If I didn't know the truth about myself, or if I didn't, save that in my mind, record that somewhere, the burden was always going to be on me to remember the truth about myself. And going to therapy made me realize that the burden doesn't have to be on me, and I think I also lost my blast furnaces. That's annoying. Maybe I didn't take them with me, or maybe I also lost them when I died. Um, Man, I should have just split it into three. Yeah, so that was a really nice feeling when I was leaving therapy. just like my mind had shut up for the first time in a long time. Because saving the facts in my mind was really, really, it was heavy. You know, it wasn't, you know, always awful to, you know, think about my trauma and think about what went wrong and what went right. It was just heavy. You know, my brain was always occupied. You know, I'm studying computer engineering, so maybe this is just that part of me that wants to make this analogy, but like, it's like the RAM in a computer. You know, you can't really run a program if like, if there's no space to run it, right? Like, and that's how my brain was for a long, long time. And it wasn't until recently. I mean, I've always valued this thing about myself where like I just remember stuff. I'm a very thoughtful person. I not only remember stuff, but I use the things I remember to inform my decisions. And when I do that, I make the right decisions. That's something I want to believe about myself. Is that that's how it works. But for the first time, right after therapy, I actually was able to forget stuff. Not in a bad way. Not like, oh, like all this trauma and stuff. I'll forget it and I'll never remember it. Because I mean, truth be told, I could never forget what happened to me. But it was just nice that I didn't feel the pressure to remember it. And even now, like I'm kind of reaching the end of my thoughts, and I couldn't tell you what I talked about for the past 45 minutes. I don't really know, and I'm trying to use a YouTube video. I'm trying to return to what I love, or at least what I think I love, what I have loved in the past. I'm trying to do this because I really do want to rekindle a piece of myself that I feel like I've lost, which is who I am when I make YouTube videos. Because if YouTube videos were one of the few things in life that actually brought me some amount of joy, it was one of the few things in my life that no one had to like force me to do. I mean, losing that feels like a death in the family. You know what I mean? Feels just like a cruel death that doesn't need to happen. It feels tragic. And I'm with the way my life has been going recently, I'm okay without tragic deaths. If I can go a little bit more time without a tragic death, then I'd consider that pretty successful. I'm sorry this is a bit... Oh. Sorry this is a bit downtrodden. This, what I'm talking about is not super... applicable to just like a chill video of someone just playing Minecraft, but this has been what I've been going through for a while. And I wanted to sort of record the way I've been feeling. And on top of that, you know, like what the title said, is I don't even know what the title is going to be, but it's like rekindling my love for life, I guess. I mean, not that I was ever super duper against life, anti-life, but I definitely felt like life had lost its meaning. Like I was saying before, I miss having compassion. I miss it. I miss just the idea that, like, I can just love things, and there doesn't have to be an attachment to it. I'm allowed to love stuff. I'm allowed to do stuff and not expect a success or failure from it. I'm really trying to convince that. I'm trying to convince myself, and I think not that this was ever the original plan for this video. I just think I stumbled upon this idea haphazardly. But by tying something like Minecraft, something that I really don't think I could succeed or fail at. Like, I could die and lose all my stuff in the nether, and that would suck. But I could just start another world, or I can just restart, you know? I don't tie success and failure to Minecraft. And I used to not tie success and failure to YouTube videos. Obviously, I kind of do now. I'm trying to break that, and I guess I'm kind of trying to cold turkey that change. But hopefully, by using this gradient, where Minecraft is something that's completely just for the love of the game, right? And I can turn YouTube back into something that is just for the love of the game. And then by making YouTube videos that are about Minecraft and talking specifically about what I really want to accomplish, which is just playing life for the love of the game. Hopefully that gradient of having something that is the love of the game, having something that was the love of the game, and having something that I want to be for the love of the game. Hopefully that gradient will give me a smooth transition into going back to just loving life. Yeah, no one, I don't think it's possible. I don't think anyone warns you for how hard it is when you become an adult. It's the burden of knowledge, I guess, right? Like, when I was a kid, I did not give a crap. I didn't give a crap about any of the things I'm talking about right now. I didn't care what reason I played Minecraft. I just played Minecraft. I didn't care what reason I would make a YouTube video. I just made a YouTube video. It was fun. That was why I did it. And so, hopefully, I probably won't ever get to that state of, you know, existing for just this. Just this, right? Who cares about everything else? Because right now all you're experiencing is just this. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. Because I think getting to that point means I'm enlightened, like a Buddhist enlightened kind of thing. I don't think I'll ever get to that point, but hopefully I can get pretty close. And if I can get pretty close, I mean, here it is again. I was gonna say I'd consider that a success, but isn't that the for a video where I'm not really cussing that much, I'm gonna say, isn't that just a bitch? Because I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? Yeah, hopefully, maybe I get to the point where it doesn't matter if I consider it a success or not. It just is. And that's okay that it just is. That would be really nice. If I could experience a life where it's not, you know, I get to the point where I succeed. I just do. I just exist. And that's okay. That's actually the preferred thing. It's actually just a beautiful thing to exist, and to want anything more is to introduce suffering, right? Greed, desire. That's how you suffer. Because inevitably, failure happens, right? It's not impossible to fail at anything. But if you don't even consider failure as an option, and you don't consider success as an option, you just consider this as the only possibility, just this, life would be so beautiful, you know? And this goes back to the whole thing where I really do understand these things at a conceptual level. I don't have a hard time deriving, I mean, this is Buddhist right here. This is Buddhism at its core. Desire is the thief of joy. I mean, I don't know if that's a Buddhist thing, but specifically like stating that in order to, oh no, it's that you have to accept that life is suffering, and then you have to accept the idea that what suffering is. Or no, hold on. Now I'm explaining it. Now I'm trying to get it right. You have to understand that suffering is inevitable in life. Life comes with suffering. And then what you have to do is you have to kind of understand the source of suffering. And you have to understand that in order to live a life without suffering, and this sounds straightforward, but, bear with me. In order to live a life without suffering, you have to eliminate suffering. Again, sounds very straightforward. That's just really hard to do. And you have to understand that suffering kind of comes from desire. The win-loss mentality that I have acquired, it doesn't come from anything other than the idea that I can win and I can lose. Because if I never even consider those two things as an option, they wouldn't be an option. Same way before, when I only considered success as an option, then there was no other option. And because there was no other option, life and success were synonymous. I never quite experienced failure. But the moment I acknowledged that failure could happen, and the moment that I acknowledged that I have failed, and that I would live a life where failure is inevitable, and I don't like failure, all these things, when I kind of came to these conclusions, it scared me. That's what caused my paralysis, dude. Like, at a fundamental level, failure's scary. It scares me to think that, like, there's a possibility that I never achieve what I want to achieve. But would it be so scary if I just never wanted to achieve it in the first place? Would it be so bad to just kind of exist? That's sort of the idea. Did I throw away my flint and steel? Oh no, there it is. Okay. Okay. We're good. Yeah. Would it be so awful to just exist? Did he die? Or did he land down there? I don't even know. I think I'm gonna call it there for this week. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me. I've been recording for an hour. I'm gonna try really hard to not edit this for longer than an hour or two. Obviously the recording is an hour, so it probably will take me at least an hour to edit it, but hopefully I can kind of just make this minimal, not put too much pressure on myself. I really want to lower my standards. Thanks for watching. I hope I was just kind of a good voice for you to have in the background or something. I don't know. I'm just here playing Minecraft, so I, you know. Again, thanks for watching. I'll try to see you next week. Bye bye.